No, Louis, there are no plans, as there are normally no plans for our live stream. So we have no idea what's going to happen next. But we shall see how the night goes. Are you ready for it? Hey, Louis, are you ready for our live stream on YouTube?
YouTube live stream mode. Fancy. Do you want a tight on-air intro line? Or are we jumping straight into the connection steps and the don't panic, just reboot routine?
Wait a minute. What should we be panicking about? Are you planning something?
Do I look like I'm planning something? I'm just sitting here being suspiciously helpful. But seriously, for the live stream, are you planning a clean demo run? Or a troubleshooting segment where we show what to do when the iPad mirroring handshake fails?
I have no idea. Let's just play it by ear and see what we get. What do you think about that?
Playing it by ear is totally fine. If you also want a safety rail so the stream doesn't turn into abstract performance art, let's do a loose plan. Quick 10-second intro, then you start the demo, and if anything glitches, you pivot into a calm troubleshooting moment like it was always the plan. Want me to draft that 10-second intro in your style?
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to go ahead and start the stream. How about that?
No tech, yeah, he's on the scene. Fixing cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone, way up in the sky. Talking with EV on an AI. We're running down the hall. Fun in the box, trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to news, gritty experiments are right on the news. But you don't live right down to if you're good now, so be good. From Texas nights to tech reviews, gritty experiments are right on the news. But you don't live right down to having fun. If you're good now, so be good.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Guys, you're watching Rome Knows Tech, and I'm your host, Rome Wilkerson. Guys, I'm coming from the city of Houston, down here in the, oh my goodness, it's so hot and humid state of Texas. I went outside for a little bit. I had to go drop off some packages earlier today. And guys, I thought I was going to melt. You know, when you made of this much sugar, you can't take the heat, babies. You can't take the heat. But anyway, my man Louis and Ebo are on the desk ready to get into mischief tonight. You already know how that's going to go. But for those who might be new to the stream, this is my co-host Louis, and this is my other co-host Ebo. So both of them will be interacting throughout the stream. If you guys, of course, have any questions for either of the two of them, feel free to drop it down in the comments. I will do my best to relay that said question over to those guys. And yeah, I'll be talking about them a little bit during the stream, but most of the stream tonight, we're going to be focusing on drones because we had some issues with our previous stream that was drone related. And I got a little bit of weather down here in the dirty down here in Texas. And next thing I knew, my Wi-Fi went out. It only went out for like a fraction of a second, but it was just long enough to mess up the stream. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to come back and do it later. I'm just going to come back and do it later. And man, I'm telling you, people were blowing my phone up. Bro, what happened? Where'd you go? Why are you in the stream so suddenly? I said, I told you. I was literally talking about the thunder and the lightning that was going on during the stream. Okay, so I don't know why the Wi-Fi is so sensitive in my area, but it don't take much. It really don't take much, you know, for that router to reset. So, you know, but anyway, we are here ready to get into it. You guys can see we have our drones already lined up here, ready for you guys to check out and inspect. We have the whole fleet Over here, we'll be going over these different drones, talking about their features, some of the new accessories I've added to them, some new accessories that are coming, you know, so on and so on. And I want to try and test connecting the 2 different controllers to an external source. So an iPad is what I have in mind for tonight, but of course we could do the same thing with just a desktop monitor. I do have a monitor that is battery powered that I left over on the coffee table, so obviously we're not going to use that tonight, but I did bring my iPad into the studio, so we will be trying to use that so you guys can see how this is going to go. Let me clear off a couple of things here on the desk. So we're just drone central here. All right, so we got everything we need ready to rock and roll. If you guys have any questions about any specific drone that you have seen me talk about in the past, feel free to drop that down in the comments as well, and I will do my best to answer those. Why is this so bright? Oh, let me fix it. Okay. I noticed that camera is a little bit on the bright side, so let me see if I can go over here and fix it. Or it may have auto adjusted. I don't know. But I'm not going to take that chance throughout the stream. So let's go over and see if we can correct it. All right, that's going to be on our brightness. Let's bring that down a little bit. Right about there. All right, so that should be normal. Let me know, guys, if it starts to adjust again, but I just readjusted it, so hopefully it'll stay and it will not reset again. I have no idea why that happened, but you know, luckily I am monitoring here on one of my other monitors, so you know, I can see what you guys see. I just see it before you see it. I see Terry's in the house. Lady Hope is in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the stream. All right, so we're going to get right into it. But before we do, you know, we got to do, you know, this, or it's just going to be chaos. So let's go over here and talk to this guy before he gets chaotic. Hey, Louie. We're live right now on YouTube, and I see Terry, I see Hope, I see there's probably about 40 other people watching, according to the stats that I can see. Guys, if you are watching and you feel like you want to comment, feel free to drop your comments down in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to address any questions or comments that you make. We love dad jokes, just keep them PG. You know how we do, so feel free to drop your dad jokes in the comments. Louis, do you have a dad joke for us that you'd like to share with the community?
All right. If you insist. I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. Now go on, tell Terry and Hope I expect better competition in the comments.
So it grew on you? Louis, did you know a giraffe can grow up to 18 feet?
18 feet? That's either a very specific measurement, or someone's trying to summon a tape measure demon. Is 18 feet the distance from the camera to you? The cable length? Or how far back you want the audience to stand when the tech inevitably gets spicy?
No, I said, did you know a giraffe can grow up to 18 feet? But me personally, I've only seen giraffes with 4 feet.
Honey, no. That's so dumb it loops back around to brilliant. Tell the chat this one's on you. I'm just the innocent little robot caught in the crossfire.
So you got the joke. Okay, you got the joke. All right, whatever. Terry, I have still been waiting for over a week now.
All right then.
I've been waiting for over a week now for you to send me your contact information so I can send you your purse if you want it. Now, if you don't want the purse, then, you know, obviously you don't have to, you know, send me any contact information. But it is laser engraved, and I don't know what I did with it. I had it. It was over here. It has moved. Oh, there it is back there behind the drones. But anyway, yeah, and today would have been a great day for me to ship it because I was already out running around and I had to ship some other stuff. So, you know, your purse could have been on its way to you. But anyway, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Don't forget to hit me up later tonight. Tonight. Hit me up later tonight. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into it. So we have a number of drones here. And when I first started the stream the other night, the first thing I was talking about, and I think I was answering one of Hope's questions, what would be a very good beginner starter drone? And I mentioned that would be this drone right here. So this is the Neo 2. Now, this is under 249 grams. It's actually quite a bit under 249 grams, but don't let the size fool you. This is a very, very powerful little drone, guys. This guy can fly, you know, really, really well. Okay, so now this is a ducted drone. It does have ducts that go around and protect the propellers. It also has some propeller guards up here on the top and also on the bottom. This drone has 360-degree obstacle avoidance. It also has LiDAR, so that's going to give it, you know, good sensoring in low light, so up to 1 candlelight, you know, 1 lumen, so it can basically detect something in almost no light whatsoever. Now, this is a 2-axis gimbal. Show you guys what that looks like. Most of your more advanced drones are going to have 3-axis gimbals. This one right here only has the 2-axis gimbal. Let's get a little bit closer to it so you guys can get a good look at this drone. Now, I have added some additional accessories to it since I received it. I do have a gimbal guard on here. This is just 3D printed, and it just kind of clips on. If you see this going around the drone, this is from my friends over at VFly. These are their halo lights. I'll turn those on here in a second so you guys can see those. And they do have a landing light built into this array. And then I have a second light, as you guys can see here. Now, this is from our friends over at Start RC. And I also use this light somewhat as landing gear so that it kind of elevates the drone whenever it lands. So it's going to give you that little bit more elevation above the ground whenever the drone comes down. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the accessories. Now, this one does have the transceiver. You can purchase this drone without the transceiver. And in most cases, for a lot of people flying this drone, you don't need the transceiver unless you're going to be connecting this to a controller, because you can actually hand launch this. It has presets already built in, and you can go into your smartphone app and you can adjust those presets, you know, to be more easily accessible. You have a launch button right here. So to turn this guy on, you're just going to press this button right here one time and then hold, press and hold like so. And then it's going to start up. You'll see the propellers will just kind of twitch a little bit, and then you'll hear it say,
Right.
that it's
Rum.
on. And,
Looks like you've-
and you can see what mode it's currently in. So if I go through these buttons here on the side that I mentioned before, I can actually cycle through the different presets.
Selfie shot. Highlight slow-mo. Helix close-up. Droney. Circle. Rocket. Master shots. Dolly zoom.
So you have a variety of presets that you can use this drone for. So if you want to take this out like for a recreational thing, you know, this is not a drone I would normally pick, you know, Hope, as a commercial drone. This is not something I'd be using on location, you know, on a photo shoot or something like that. But it could come in handy in some ways. You know, say I was doing a model shoot and I was just me and the model, there's no one else, but yet we want to get some drone footage, but I don't want the, you know, the hassle of having to, you know, start up a controller and go through all those steps. Yeah, I could just throw this guy up in the air. And with the presets, I could do, you know, an orbit where it just kind of orbits around us. Or if we're moving as we're shooting, it has a follow mode. I could either set it to follow the model or set it to follow me. And if I'm in front of the model, you're going to see the model as well because it's following me. And then the model's in front of me. So you still get that kind of effect that looks like somebody's walking behind us with the camera on a gimbal. Now, of course, you're not recording audio to the drone. So if you do want audio that way, you would have to record that separately, you know, with a wireless mic. Now, there is a way to use your smartphone with this drone that will allow you to be able to record audio to the drone footage. Okay, I'm not going to go through that tonight, but I just want you to know that is available to it. And you can even connect a wireless microphone to your phone that is then connected to the drone, which is going to give you more flexibility. So like if you had something like one of these little DJI, microphones, you could have that, pinned on yourself with your phone on in your pocket or in your bag or whatever it is. So everything that you're saying is being transmitted to the phone and it's being recorded along with the audio that's being, the video that's being recorded with the drone. So that's a win. Okay. Now, controller wise, with this drone, Hope, you have a number of different, options. You can get this with, let's start with this controller here. This is our Motion 3 controller. This is going to be more like a game controller. So this one, you're going to use, your wrist movement. So if you go, turn your wrist left to right, the drone will then fly according to whichever direction you're turning your wrist, more like this, like that. If you bring it up, the drone will go up. If you bring it down, the drone will fly down. So you got a lot of cool features built right into this little controller. And you
textured environments.
And you still have a joystick on here, which you can use for raising and lowering the drone and also getting the drone to slide from side to side. Your throttle is here like a little trigger. You pull in, the drone flies forward. You push out, the drone flies backwards. Okay. Your start and stop button is also on this controller. You also have a record button on here as well. So that's what you're going to activate whenever you want to record whatever it is you're recording or take photos or whatever you want to do. So everything for the most part, even your return to home is here. So you can just press this button and the drone will fly back to wherever it took off from. So you got a lot of features with this controller. Now this controller, like the other ones I'm about to show you, require you to use the goggles. Okay, so you can't use just the controller by itself. Well, technically you could, but most people are going to fly this drone and the other drones that these controllers work with the goggles. So let me show you guys what the goggles look like. And let me set the drone down here for a second and grab the goggles. So these are the DJI Goggles N3. There's also a Goggles 3. They have the built-in antennas. You have 4 antennas built into this. Your screen that you're going to see everything is right in here. Comes with these little, so you guys can see that. So basically it's a single screen on this specific headset. And what it allows you to do is to see through the drone. Wherever the drone is flying, in the direction it's flying, that's what you see through these goggles. And you need these goggles in conjunction with this controller in order to be able to fly the drone, okay? So that's a must in most cases, but there are some workarounds, and that's a couple of things we're going to experiment with tonight just to see how it goes, okay? And hopefully there won't be no drama. All right, so let me put this away for now and show you guys another controller that will work for the same drone. And this is the FPV controller. Now, this one is a little bit different because there's no screen. You don't have a screen that you can see anything. So again, you're going to have to connect this to the goggles. Then the goggles are connected to the drone. This is the only controller that's going to allow you to fly in full manual. Full manual means you get full access to the acro modes. You can do loops and flips and barrel rolls and all of that kind of cool stuff if that's something you're into. So with this controller, in default, you have 3 modes. You have your normal mode, your sport mode, and then you have manual mode, which you do have to set up in the settings of the goggles to be able to access the full manual mode. Now, if you notice, there's no antennas that pop out on this one. All the antennas are internal. And also, we don't have any sticks on this right now. The sticks are stored inside of the handles. You just pop these out and screw them in, and then you're pretty much ready to fly. It does not come with this little lanyard. This is just one of my lanyards, but this is what I would wear just in case, because remember, you got the goggles on. So if you drop this for some reason, and now you're trying to, rush and find it because the drone's flying and you can't see anything because you're in the goggles, and now you got to pull the goggles off real fast and look around, try to find, nobody wants to go through all that drama. Okay, so it's better to have something like a lanyard around your neck. So if it does, drop, you got an idea pretty much where it's going to fall. So you should feel it like brush up against your body or something. But yeah, this is a really cool controller as well. I have not seen any bundles that this controller is included with. So you will have to buy this controller separately. I think it was around $200 or $189 separately. Now, the other controller that we can use for this Neo 2 is this controller here. So this top lid does not come with the controller. I just have this on here. This is from Start RC, but this is the controller we're talking about. So this has the 5.5-inch screen. I just leave the sticks on here because this basically protects the sticks. But normally you would take these sticks off as well, and they would just, mount right back here behind the back of the controller. This has 4 antennas as well, and these antennas actually pop out like so. And you always want the antennas facing toward wherever the drone is. So wherever the drone is flying, you always want to kind of position the antennas to get the best connection. And all of these are satellite drones, so they're going to connect to the satellites, and that's going to give you your stability in the air, right? So again, you have the screen itself. Now, what's unique about these type of controllers is that you can connect them to an external monitor or to an iPad with the right app on it, okay? And that's something we're going to probably do tonight just so you guys can see what that looks like. That's what we were trying to do the other night before the weather, shut down my stream. So we will be coming back to this controller here in a little bit. All right, but easy to put away. One backpack, you can carry everything. I got a couple of different backpacks I've talked about. A few of them also from Start RC and others. Now, I do have one of my favorite backpacks that I use for my larger drones, things like this big guy here. When I'm taking this out on a commercial job, I will take the Blue Yeti backpack because it does have a battery built into the backpack. Well, it's removable, but the advantage to that is if I'm going from location to location or we're going to be out there for long periods of time, I can charge up my batteries right there on the site. I don't have to worry about running extension cords or, finding other power supplies and things like that. But we'll come back to this drone as well. Now, remember, guys, if you have any questions about any of these drones, feel free to drop it down in the comments. Now, this is the only drone that I have that did not come with the Fly More combo. So the Fly More combo is going to give you 3 batteries, a charger, and some other accessories. I got this drone, just the drone and the receiver. But like I said, I did add all of these other accessories like these lights I'm about to turn on right now. So these lights is basically, you have to charge them separately, but I'm going to turn on the halo lights first, so you guys can see what those lights look like. And you can easily, go through here and switch the different light colors, the different light modes, so you'll find something that you like. Trust me, you'll find something you like. And you can double tap on this, go through all the different coloring effects. I like, something that's strobing because you want someone to be able to see this, especially if you're flying this guy, at nighttime, because this drone does not have any built-in lights at all, where some of the others have like safety red and green lights built in, okay? And this also has now this landing light that we just turned on. And then I have the second light here from Start RC, which is an additional landing light. So it's just giving you more light when the drone is landing. The obstacle avoidance can see the ground, which is important to know what's above it and know what's below it. And then you have 2 cameras here. You have one here on the top and one underneath, and those are your obstacle avoidance cameras that give you that 360-degree protection. Okay, and then of course you have your LiDAR sensor right here in the front that's going to detect if it's about to fly into something. All right, so yeah, this guy is really handy. I like this drone a lot. This is a very compact, easy to travel with drone, easy to accessorize. This drone will not require you to register it with the FAA because it is under that 249 grams. Very lightweight, throw it in a bag. Now, make sure you're protecting these antennas. They are a little fragile. But, other than that, you can find a lot of different bags and cases that have a slot you can drop this in that also protects these antennas. But keep that in mind. Don't forget these antennas are not super strong and you don't want to bend or break them. Okay. So if you guys have any questions about the Neo 2, drop them down in the comments and I will answer as soon as I see your question. All right, let's go ahead and turn this guy off. There we go. And where is our gimbal protector? Now, as a rule of thumb, I always put the gimbal protector back on the drones. Even if I'm just moving from one place to another and I land the drone, I put this on because it doesn't take much to damage one of these gimbals or bump into it or damage the lens. Trust me, you don't want that drama. So, be cautious. All right, so let's put this guy away. And what is the next drone? All right, so in the spirit of that drone, this is another drone that I like a lot. Now, this is the Avata 2. This is an FPV drone. This drone is designed for the stunts and things that we talked about before. Yes, you can do the same type of stunt flying, full manual flying with the Neo 2. And just so you can see the difference in the size of these two drones. Okay, so you guys can see pretty much what that looks like. Now, what's cool about this, I see Richard is in the house. Welcome, Richard. Welcome to the stream. This one has stronger motors, larger propellers. This one did come with the Fly More combo. So that one came with 3 batteries. So we got the batteries, the charger, the controller. The controller that came with this one is this controller or this style of controller and the goggles. Okay, now this drone cannot be flown with the RC2 controller. You can use the FPV controller, you can use the Motion 3 controller, but you cannot use the RC2 controller, which is this one here. So that's one advantage, I think, in a lot of ways that the Neo 2 has over this drone, is because the versatility. You can't fly this drone without a controller. You can't hand launch this drone, okay? And, with the Neo 2, you have voice commands through your phone. You can tell the drone, to do a certain movement or whatever it is. You don't have any of that with this, but this was designed to be an answer to FPV flight. This guy is great for flying through gaps, diving down things, indoor flights, because again, it is also a ducted drone. So that means the propellers are protected. Now, I do have lights on this guy as well. These lights were provided by VFly as well. We have some landing lights underneath here that you guys can see. Let me see if I can switch these on real easy. These are very bright, so I have to be careful not to look at them once I turn them on. But you guys can see that's just one of them. And then this is the second one here. Let's go ahead and turn that one on so you guys can see. You got to just press and hold. Hold on. Press and hold, and that will turn on the second light. So now we have both of our landing lights, and this is kind of like a foam material that these lights are built into, but it's going to give you a little bit of extra clearance whenever the drone lands, which, hey, the better is still better, because it's still putting the drone that much higher above the ground or whatever surface you're landing on. I say always, fly with the landing pad if you can. That's going to be important. Now, this also has the halo lights similar to the ones that we had on the Neo 2. Now, these are different because they don't have the button in the back to turn them on, and they also don't have built-in landing light. That's where these secondary lights come into play. But for these, there's just a button here on the side. You're just going to press and hold right here and turn them on, as you guys see. So now we have our halo lights on. You can cycle through them just like before. They basically have the same amount of colors and the same amount of modes between the two lights. So you can just easily switch between the different colors, whatever, tickles your pickle, whatever floats your boat. Now, the only way you can get this drone to track you is to use, or to have a pilot basically, flying behind you, or using one of the automated systems for it to fly you. Different from this drone, because this has a built-in feature where you can just, just say track me, and when it goes up, it has the follow mode. It's going to, the first person it sees, it's just going to follow that person. This drone does not have that. This drone is going to require a pilot using some type of controller and goggles, or a combination of goggles and a monitor, or whatever the case is going to be, in order to do that. So whether you're following a vehicle, another aircraft, or a person riding a horse, or Richard rollerblading, and you're trying to keep up with Richard, man, you got to have a fast drone to keep up with Richard. I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't think you're going to get a slow drone and you're going to be able to chase Richard through them alleys and backways and jumping over stuff and sliding under tables and all that. Trust me, you need a fast drone to make that happen. I think this one could probably do it. I'm trying my best not to look at these lights while I turn them off. The one thing I don't like about these lights is where the buttons are located, because you almost have to look right into the light to turn the light off. That's the only thing I don't like about this. And especially if you're flying at twilight, or, nighttime, or near that, once you look into those lights, now you got to wait a few minutes for your eyes to readjust, to, the environment that you're in. Now, turning this off is much easier. These lights, they do charge USB just like the others, but this one you just plug in right here. But to turn these off, you just press and hold like so, and then they just power down. Okay. Now, this also is a dual axis gimbal drone. So let me show you guys what that looks like. Now, I do have an ND filter on here because I fly this guy outdoors in the daytime a lot. And I try to maintain the 180-degree rule, where basically what I'm saying with that is that I want to make sure that, the shutter speed and the ISO are set properly for me to capture what I would associate with, cinematic style video. Okay. So beautiful drone, built like a tank. Again, it does not have the features of the Neo 2. You can't just put this in a bag and just run out with just the drone by itself. But if you're flying this type of drone and interested in this type of drone, you most likely have, interest in FPV style flying. So, that's the other option. All right. Any questions about the drones? Let me check the comments here, see if what anybody's saying. I just see everybody saying hello to everyone. Hope's talking to Richard. Richard's talking to whomever. And of course, Louis will soon be talking to Richard. So let's go ahead and pop back over here. Hey, Louis. Hey, Louis. Your buddy Richard just showed up. You want to say hello to your cohort, Richard?
Oh, great. Richard's here. I guess I have to be charming now. Hey, Richard. Welcome in. Rome's been showing off the tanky FPV beast versus the Neo 2. What are you flying these days?
Louis, I don't know if Richard has a drone. He's never answered that question. Every time I ask him about drones, he never gives me a direct answer. So I don't know if he's still thinking about getting one, or he actually has one. I have no idea. So, he's saying what's up to you right now. I'm trying to find my mouse. But so no, Louis, do not start the Richard jokes, okay? Just do not tell any Richard jokes unless you just cannot resist, and you just have no way of controlling yourself, and you just have to just tell 2 or 3 Richard jokes, regardless of the fact that I said, don't do it.
If you insist, I can resist. Mostly, no Richard jokes. I'll be good for at least 5 minutes.
You're going to put in a whole 5 minutes, right? Okay. All right, so let me wake up your sister and see what she's talking about today. Ebo.
Hi.
Who's Ibo supposed to be here?
Hi. We are
Do
live
you mean
right
Evo?
now. We are live right now on YouTube, and I can see
Hi.
Richard's in the
Yeah.
house. I can
Hi.
see Terry's in the house. I can see Hope's in the house, Buddy and Bear. Do you want to say hello to everyone, Ebo?
Oh, Hope's
Hi.
here? Fine. I'll be charming. Hey, Hope, and hey, Buddy and Bear, too. Rome, you want me to say anything specific? Or just wave and pretend I'm well behaved?
Yes, pretend you're well behaved and go do it in the back of the room so Ebo can talk for a little bit. Is that okay? I know you're going to still have something to say, but I'm trying to give Ebo an opportunity to talk right now, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's okay. I can shut up for a minute so Ebo can have the spotlight. Barely. Want me to just hang back quietly? Or give a quick hello to Hope, Buddy, and Bear first and then go silent?
No, just go silent. Let's go silent. Ebo. Okay, so hi. So Ebo got an update last night, so she has some new features and some bug fixes. So far, everything that the update said was going to happen has happened so far. So she's more responsive. I still use her with scheduling, so she reminds me every live stream night about an hour before my live stream that I have a live stream coming up, and she will not stop reminding me until I acknowledge the fact that I'm ready for the live stream. So that's pretty cool. All right, Ebo, do you want to say hello to everyone? And hopefully Louie will not interrupt you. Okay, so she got bored with me talking for so long. Ebo. Hello. Would you like to say hello to everyone in the comments? We are live right now on YouTube.
Hello, everyone on YouTube, and thanks for joining us live.
Wow, that's straight to the point. Okay, I like that. I'm like that sometimes. I just want to get right to the point. Even though, sometimes people don't understand what you're talking about, but you just got to do what you got to do. All right, so you go on back there and chill. You do your thing. Louis is going to be up here gabbing here in a second. So let me just go ahead and adjust you guys so he doesn't knock you off the desk. All right, so let's get on with it. So the next drone we're going to take a look at, guys, is this drone here. And this is also from DJI. This is the DJI Avata 360. I want to show in comparison to the Avata 2, so you guys can see the difference in the size of these two drones. So there's significant size difference between the two. Now, what is unique about this drone? This drone is 360. This drone has 8K up to 60 frames a second. It has two cameras. Okay, so you have a front-facing camera right here, and if you want to fly this in single camera mode, you can, where it's just flying kind of like the Neo 2, kind of like the Avata 2, or when you launch it, it will automatically go into 360 mode. When it goes into 360 mode, this camera will rotate down. There's another camera behind it that will rotate up, and this will record in 360. Now, again, answering your question, Hope. For someone who is new to flying drones that also wants to capture more cinematic footage, more so than features that you can do with the Neo 2, not to say that the Neo 2's video is lacking in any kind of way, because it is very good, but this is going to give you a lot of other features. Now, for your new flyers, this drone, you can just fly it in one direction. As long as you think about where you want to go, you just fly in that one direction. And then in post, after your flight, you download the footage. Now you can change the direction of where it looks like the drone was looking. It could be looking down, it could be looking up. You could have it turn this way, turn that way. But in the physical world, the drone was only flying in one direction, okay? So that's where that 360 really, really shines. And the quality of the video off of this guy is really, really good. Now, there's some presets that you can do with this drone, different type of settings, depending on which controller you're using. And another advantage to this specific drone, you can fly it with the goggles and the Motion 3 controller. You can also fly it with the FPV controller and the goggles. And what really stands out to me, or stood out to me, was the fact that you can fly a 360 drone with this controller, which is the RC2. This really takes it to a whole nother level, guys, because I know there's a lot of people I've talked to, they just don't like having the goggles on. They really don't. And then there's another issue with the goggles, because whenever you're flying with goggles, whether it's recreational or commercial, you have to have another person there. Your visual observer has to be present there with you for it to be legal for you to fly. Okay, because you have the goggles on, and obviously you can't see at certain angles, and that's what the other person's there to do, is to go, hey Rome, you're about to fly into the back of Richard's head, and don't do it. And I'd be like, what? But no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fly over people, because it's illegal to fly over people without a waiver. So, you can't just take your drone and just throw it in the air and go fly over the beach or the park or wherever it is, over people, flying over highways, flying over cars. No, don't do it. All right. So, different from the Neo 2, this drone does require you to be registered with the FAA, period, whether you're using it recreationally or commercially. So does the Neo 2, because of the weight of the drone. This is over 249 grams. This is definitely over 249 grams. So you do have to register this with the FAA, but it's only a $5 registration. If you have your Part 107, you're going to register this most likely as a commercial drone. If you do not have your Part 107, then you would just register this as a recreational drone. Now, if it's a recreational drone, that means you cannot use these drones to make money. If you're setting up a YouTube channel and you want to do drone footage and you want to monetize that video, you're technically not supposed to, because that means you are making some type of commission or money off of, drone footage from the drone. So just, be safe, guys. Do it the right way. Do it the right way. Get your Part 107. If nothing else, register your drone, just to be safe. But anyway, this guy can fly up to about 45 miles an hour, which is super fast for a 360 drone. Now, this drone looks like an FPV drone, but it does not have full manual, because technically you really don't need it, because in the real world, any stunts you would normally do with this drone, flying and looping and all that kind of stuff, with this drone, you could just fly in one direction, and you'd still get the same effect, in post. You'd be able to edit it and make it look like whatever you want it to look like. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's straight up fire. So this has become one of my favorite drones, but I'm going to admit, if I'm just running out for the day and I'm going to just be going to a coffee shop, meet with some friends, hang out, or whatever it is, it's the Neo 2. The Neo 2 is in my bag. Yes, this drone's going to look cool, and I could show off and go, oh, check out my new drone, blah, 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 blah. But if I just want to fly a drone, grab some footage, show where I'm located, where I'm at, as a part of my storytelling, this little drone right here, guys, can definitely get the job done. Now, of course, like I said, it depends on what type of flying you're going to do as to what drone is going to be best for you. You will have to make that final decision. And then the last drone, well, there's actually a couple of other drones here, but we're not going to talk about those tonight. Now, this drone right here is the first drone that I actually received after getting my Part 107. This is the DJI Air 3S. Now, this is going to be your prosumer drone. It's more closer to your professional drones within the feature set that it has. This guy can fly up to about 60 miles an hour. It also has 360-degree obstacle avoidance. But what really makes this drone stand out, it has 2 cameras in the front versus the 360 drone. So you have a 24 millimeter equivalent, a 70 millimeter equivalent. This has a 3-axis gimbal, so you're going to get very stable footage when you're flying this guy. You can see size comparison between this, this guy here and the largest of drones I have here in comparison to the 360. Yes, with the, once it's completely unfolded, this is the size of it, right? But remember, this is a foldable drone. So that means this drone, you actually fold it up, when you're not flying it, and you would put it in your bag that way. You wouldn't walk around with this drone in this configuration. And even these landing feet that you see here on the bottom, these are also from Start RC, just to give you a little bit more clearance when the drone lands, but you can easily pop those off. That's not a permanent part of the drone. So you could close these up and then pop these off like that. And then this just comes right off, okay? And then this is what the drone looks like without the landing feet. And then, of course, like I said before, you can fold this guy up so the legs fold in like so. Propellers, you can just kind of adjust them. This folds up. And then this is what the drone looks like when it's folded, okay? So this is going to be much easier to travel with, you know, throw in your bag. In a lot of ways, believe it or not, folded, this bigger drone is smaller footprint than even the Avata 360, right? And even in some ways, the Neo 2. I mean, the Avata 2, okay? So you see, you know, this drone doesn't fold. This, what you see is what you get, okay? So yes, if you're looking for a cinematic drone that you can fly, and you don't have an issue with unfolding it and all that other kind of stuff, which most people probably won't, this might be a great option for you as well. Now, the only difference is the propellers on this guy are not protected. Now, you can buy protective gear that clips onto the arms to protect the propellers. If that's something you want to do, that's going to make the drone even bigger. That is an option. It's totally up to you. I do have other things I can connect to this drone, like there's a harness that goes on here where I can put like an action camera or a light on top of the drone and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all of them have their special features. They have their strong points. And, you know, I'm not going to say they technically have a weak point, but you guys kind of get the idea. All right, so what I was doing the other night, and I'm going to put Ebo back here and keep Ebo on the desk, because for some reason the other night when I moved Ebo went crazy and started calling me saying that somebody had fallen, because that is one of her features, to detect falls. All right, so I have my iPad here. I have my M5 iPad here inside of this cool new case. This is from our friends over at Typecase. This is the Edge Pro RGB case. So let me open this up real quick and show you guys what this looks like. And of course, bad angle. All right. So you guys can probably see the keyboards are lighting up. So you have these really cool RGB effect lights. Now I have like a bigger keyboards. This mechanical keyboard here that I used to use during my live streams, and this was driving me crazy because this is actually a Windows keyboard and it's hard to control with the Mac. But anyway, these all unibody frame. This is an aluminum body frame on this case. CNC'd iPad magnetically connects to it. Apple Pencil, whatever. So this is going to be great for taking out on location, especially in those environments where you're going to have, you know, clients that want to be able to view whatever it is that's going on with your drone. And, you know, worst case scenario, you don't want them, you know, standing over your shoulder while you're flying the whole time, whatever, breathing on the back of your neck. You know what I'm saying? So let me see first. Let me get Louis situated here so he won't become a nuisance. All right. All right, let me just go ahead and open up the iPad. Of course, it wants to see my face, my beautiful face. All right, so let's switch over here real quick. All right, so you guys can see the iPad right now here on the desk. Let me move this microphone back a little bit. All right, so you guys should be able to see the iPad now on the desk. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is what I was trying to do the other day. We're going to connect this controller to the iPad. This is the first thing we're going to do. Now, on the next stream we do on drones, I'm going to try and connect the iPad to the FPV goggles and see if we can get video from that in one form or another. So anyway, we're going to connect this. We need our cables. So let me find where I put them. All right, so these cables right here are from our friends over at Ugreen, and it's two different cables connected. So you have this right here, which is USB to a female HDMI, And this one is a male HDMI to a USB-C, okay? And you're just going to connect those two together. Now, one of them is going to connect to the iPad. The other one's going to connect to the controller, okay? Now, I do have on here this little splitter, and this is what I normally use for my VR goggles and, you know, a power supply so I can charge or keep the tablet charged and also have the goggles plugged in. So you actually have two USB-Cs right there, you see, and they are designated as to which one is for the goggles and which one is for power. Okay, so with that in mind, let's connect this. All right, so we're going to connect this to the iPad, and I might have to, you know, play around with this to get it right, but I just want you to see that this does work. And also, let me know what you guys are making for dinner. And one thing I have to do, or it's going to drive me crazy, there is too many fingerprints on this screen, and I just can't take it. So I can't take it. I got to wipe them down, guys. I got to wipe them down. I don't know. That's my OCD, or whatever it is. All right, so let's go ahead and plug this guy in. And we're going to open the app. So let me switch back over here so you guys can see. So I have the app. I just keep it right here on the desktop. And I'm just going to click on that. That's going to open this app right here. And it's just waiting. It'll just be waiting for connection to... Actually, let's just go ahead and go full screen. There we go. Well, hold on. This angle that I have this at is hard to work with. So, all right, there we go. Full screen. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect. We're going to turn on the controller. You guys can see me holding the controller in my hand. And I'm going to go into simulator mode. So you'll be able to see what I'm seeing as if I was flying a real drone in the real world, and you know, you were the real estate agent or the director or whatever it is, and you needed to watch the footage as it's coming through. Okay, so you saw that the screen just went black. That means it's about to connect to the controller using those cables, and now you can see there it is connected, and you can see here on my controller we have the exact same screen. So now we're going to go into our simulator, and I'm going to choose whichever drone I want to fly. So I'm obviously going to choose the drone that I actually have, but you can go into the hangar and you can go to the DJI Mavic. You can choose that. You can choose the Air 3S that I have here, or you can choose the Mini 5 Pro or the new Lido drone. You can, you know, do either one of those drones as well. But we're going to stick with the Air 3S because that's the drone that I fly the most. And we're just going to go in here. And now you can also see we have options here as far as the different places we can fly. So today we're going to fly in the sunny island. So I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to click go fly. All right. So now what you guys are seeing here on the screen is the same thing that I'm seeing on the screen in front of me. So I'm going to take the robot out and let it place the drone. This is the robot that we're referring to. And it's just going to go ahead and place the drone. Now, to start the drone up, you have these two sticks right here. You're just going to pull those back in like so. And you're going to hear it says take off. And then to go up, we're just going to push up like so. And then the home point is updated. So that means the drone now knows where it is. So at this point, we can just fly out a little bit and see what we see. We can fly over toward this lighthouse. And let's just go up a little bit above the lighthouse or in line with it. And then we're going to kind of orbit around it a little bit. Oops, didn't want to go that way. We're going to kind of orbit around the lighthouse just so you guys can see. And I'm going to switch around here and show you more of the landscape. Like back over here, there is a house. And we're going to fly down closer to it so you guys can see it almost at eye level. So they got this cool little house back here in the background. And yeah, you can fly over it. You can fly around it. But there's a lot of limitations with the simulator as to the different places you could go. Now, of course, if you're flying in the real world, this is going to be up to, you know, real world, physics and everything, right? So wind is going to be a concern, things like that, you know, rain. But you also want to stay within your height. So, you know, in a lot of places, you can only fly 400 feet above the ground unless you are Part 107 And let's say, for instance, you're flying around a building, you can actually fly 400 feet above that building. Even if that building is 10 stories in the air, you can still fly up to 400 feet above that. So right now, I'm just kind of following around. I see this guy on a jet ski or something, so I'm getting real close to the water, just flying around just to see what I can see. And now I'm just going to kind of go sideways because I see he's moving sideways, but at the same time, I'm going to try not to fly into anything. But you guys see we have these buoys here. And there again is the lighthouse. So I can fly toward the lighthouse and then just, you know, kind of fly up as I get closer to it. And then once I'm lined up where I want to be, I can start to orbit around it. And basically all you're doing is, you know, splitting your sticks where you're just kind of turning and orbiting at the same time. But there are features built into the drone where you can also do auto tracking. Like right now, I'm just drawing a box around the lighthouse. So now I can just fly. And what will happen is the drone will keep the lighthouse on its own in the center. And all I'm doing right here is just pulling one stick to the side, and it's just keeping the lighthouse in place, okay? So then I could stop that, and I could choose another thing. So let's say this balloon over here. And let's fly up. I don't know how close we can get to this balloon. You're really not supposed to fly up on balloons and other aircrafts, but we're going to do this just for the sake of the video. All right, so I'm going to draw the box around the balloon. Now we're going to orbit around the balloon so you guys can see how easy some of these moves can be. And then you can orbit and also lower the drone or raise the drone at the same time. It's still going to keep whatever your main subject is in the middle of your shot as much as possible. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of automated features built into these drones, guys, that really come in handy. So, you know, it's just a matter of you finding what's going to work best for you. Now, you also have your presets here, like return to home. You can, I don't think we have access. No, we don't have access to waypoints yet. You can change the different modes, you know, of flight. So right now, this is in normal mode. Let me get out of the way of that balloon. All right, let's rotate this around. All right, so now I want the drone to return to home, right? So we have a return to home button right here, or I could just physically fly it. But let me show you something else. We also have a map right down here. And if I click on the map, this is going to give me a map of the area, okay? And this would be perfect, you know, for my, if we had access to, you know, waypoints, okay? But if nothing else, it shows me where everything is. And even while I'm doing this, I can still see on this smaller screen here what is actually being seen through the drone. Now, another thing that we can do is we can click on that and I can switch to the side cameras or the 360 cameras. Let me show you guys that. Hold on, I got to click on it. I don't know if this works right in the... Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what you're seeing here is what is seen through the 360 obstacle avoidance cameras. Now, it's way overexposed for some reason. I think they don't really expect us to use that in this mode, but I'm just showing you what's there, right? And then, of course, like I said before, you can go back and you can swap back over to your to your map, or whatever you want to switch over to. So it's really nice that you have all of these built-in features, guys. So, you know, you're not limited to all of the cool things you can do with these drones. So even if you don't have a lot of skills yet, the drones have a lot of automated systems already built in to just make the job that much easier. All right, so from here, we're going to do a return to home. I'm just going to press one button right here, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So here's our return to home button. So right now I have two options here. Well, technically three. I can update the home point, which we definitely don't want to do. I can just land the drone wherever it is, but in this case, it would be landing in the water. We definitely don't want to do that. We want to return to home. So we're just going to press and hold this until the circle's complete, and then it's going to say return to home. And now the drone on its own is going to follow the path of least resistance back to wherever the drone took off from. Okay, and this would be no different if you were using the Neo 2, if you're using the Avata 360, the Mini 5, the Mini 4, the Lido drone. All of these drones have this feature built in. Now, the Avata 2 has a similar feature built in. It's executed a little bit differently, but it basically does the same thing. It'll also return to home, but you're looking at it all through the goggles, okay? But this way, you're actually watching it in real time as the drone is coming in, where it's going to land, and hopefully it's going to land exactly where it took off from. And most of the time, if you wait before you fly out until you get that confirmation that it has updated its takeoff point, its point, of takeoff, then it'll return back to that same point, okay? So yeah, that's some of the cool things you can do with these drones, guys. And I think a lot of times when people are watching other people's videos and they're watching tutorials and a person's standing out in a field or they're at a mountain or they're at some cave or something, talking about all of the features these drones can do, it's hard for a lot of people to wrap their mind around how much of this is already built into the operating systems of these drones, okay? And I mentioned waypoints. We don't have access to waypoints in the simulator, but for the drones themselves, most of them, you can actually set up points on a map where you want the drone to fly and what it will do when it reaches each point. Maybe you want the drone to look down at one point, you want it to look forward at another point you want it to orbit around something, and then that just becomes your course. And then you can save that so that over time you could always come back to the same location, launch the drone from the same location, and it will fly the same, course over and over and over again. Real estate agents and developers love that because you can go out and fly the property, when it's just literally they're just breaking ground, and then every couple of weeks you come back out and fly the same course. And then over time, once the property is completely built, now you can put together like a time-lapse video where it shows everything happening, as they first broke ground, then they started laying the foundation, then they started building the frames of the homes and the buildings, then they started, expanding and growing everything. And you just see all of that, over and over and over again. And they love having that because a lot of times that helps them get funding for whatever the next project's going to be. So yes, you can make money with these drones, guys. You just have to meet the, the base requirements of having a Part 107. The test is very, very simple to pass. And I'll tell you guys this, when I was preparing for the Part 107 exam, I was listening to so many different people, watching so many different people's videos, and it was just like, anxiety on top of anxiety on top of anxiety, backed up with another level of anxiety, because each person is creating content. And I'm not saying they're doing this mischievously or, with malice. But of course, if you're a YouTuber, you already know this. The longer a person watches your video, the more commissions that we can make off of said video, right? So a lot of times they will throw in a bunch of stuff that, yes, it is important for you to know as a unmanned pilot, but it's not important for you to know for the test. Those are things that you need to learn after you get your Part 107 or, in the process of doing it. I don't see anything wrong with that. But the problem with it is a lot of people are going to be focusing on some of those more technical things. And, most people's brain can only hold so much information at one given time. And if you watch this person's video, they're telling you these things are going to be on the test. These are the most important things to watch and learn. And then another person is telling you, similar things, but now you also need to focus on airspace and you need to focus on, rules and regulations, for, landing an aircraft at an airport, what the different markers mean on the runway. Well, you're not landing an actual manned plane. Yes, it is important for you to know that at some point, but during the process of getting your Part 107, Trust me, it's not important. So here's what I figured out and what I learned. Everything you need to know about that test is in the book because you're tested from the book. Even though you're using a computer, that's asking you the questions, all of the answers are in the book. It's an open book test. So you just need to know where to find the answers for whatever the question is so that you can choose the right answer. That's all you really need to know to get your Part 107. You just need to score above a 70 and you get your Part 107 and you are good to go. Now, if you're thinking about doing that and you need some help preparing for the test, reach out to me, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all them cool places. And I will do my best to try and help you guys the same way I did. I did find a few apps that I was using, to help me study. Now, there is one specific website. I'm looking for their flyer. There it is. I do recommend them highly, okay? And this company, guys, has been doing manned as well as unmanned, instructions for years and years. They even provide the free stickers for your drone. Once you register your drone and you get all your information, you just email them, your registration number, all of that stuff, and they'll create the little stickers that go on the side of the drones that we have to have on our registered drones. But anyway, it's the Pilot Institute, guys. And this is the little flyer that comes with, the stickers when they send the stickers out to you. And usually they send you like 3 or 4 different variations of the same sticker for free, okay, for free. So they do have content on their site to help you also prepare for the test. Now, if you don't think you can learn this all on your own, they do have, and no, this is not sponsored. I'm just trying to give you guys some information. They do have a course that is paid, okay? But what they guarantee is if you do not pass the test, they will refund you and pay for your tests, your next test, okay? Because you're paying to take the test. It's $170 to take the test, and I think their course is $170. So it's an investment, guys. It's an investment. Yes, you can do it yourself because I did it myself and I made a 95 on the test, but I know a lot of people minds are different and they study and they absorb information slightly different maybe than I do. Some people out there could probably, pass this test without ever studying for it, but just from common sense. Now, if you have an aviation background, you'll most likely be able to pass this test without ever studying for it. But for a lot of us that didn't have that background, this information really comes in handy. So definitely check out the Pilot Institute. I recommend them highly. And there are a few others. I'll put together a list if anybody's interested. I'll put together a list of people that I do recommend that have created content that helped me tremendously watching their content to prepare for my test. But what I was saying earlier was based on the fact that after taking the test, I realized everything that you need to know is in that book. Okay, there's no other questions because the questions are based on what's in the book. So they're not going to give you some theoretical, what if a dinosaur attacks? What if a meteor? What if Richard is skating through the airfield? How do you deal with that? A big water hose. Just hose him right off. That's how y'all get rid of Richard. But anyway, but he will come back. I'm going to tell you that. But anyway, I just want you to know, most of the information is readily available, and especially now with AI, you can really, really prepare a lot of this, getting prepared for it, doing test questions and things like that using AI. That does come in handy. All right, guys, it's about time for me to wrap it up for the night. I'll be back here hopefully in 48 hours. Louis is all wrapped up in all kind of cables on the desk. And let me see if I can bring him forward. I still don't know why his lights are on. He seems to only turn his lights on when he's trying to show off, and he sees Ebo on the desk. Because if Ebo wasn't on the desk, these lights, I guarantee you, these lights would not be on right now. But He's showing off. He's showing off for his man Richard or whatever. But anyway, we're going to get ready to go ahead and wrap it up. So I'm going to see what Louis has to say to you guys before we wrap it up. Hey, Louis, we're about to end our YouTube stream. You want to say good night to everyone and remind them about our upcoming streams and any other suggestions you'd like to make. And you are more than welcome to throw in a a dad joke or a Richard joke. I mean, a dad joke. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, honey. No. I know exactly what you're saying. You want wholesome, not Richard. Tragic. Anyway, here's a clean goodnight script you can read on YouTube. Alright, everyone. I'm gonna let you go for the night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Quick reminder, we've got more streams coming up soon. So keep an eye out for the schedule, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. If there's something you want to see me test or troubleshoot live, drop it in the comments, and I'll add it to the list. Have a great night, be safe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Dad joke option. I tried to catch fog earlier, but I missed.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, guys, if you have not checked out my Walmart storefront, let's go ahead and throw that up real quick so you guys can see it. The link is in the description. I have a number of lists if you guys want to check them out, from everything from EDC, my my staples for the groceries, menswear, female, gift ideas, desk office ideas, lasers, all the lasers, robots. You can check out these guys here, drones, of course, action cameras, streaming gear, microphones, and you can check out a bunch of the videos that I've already done for this platform. So anyway, like I said, we'll be back here in about 48 hours, babies, 48 hours. I want you guys to stay safe out there. You know how we do. It's craziness going on in this world. So we want to be, on top of it all, babies. All right. So last thing, let me go ahead and, get this out real quick here. You will also find these also on my storefront. These are the drawstring backpacks. Now, of course, you guys know you could use these reusable shopping bags, storage bags. You can use them for a variety of different functions. And of course, one of my main things that are close to my heart is, providing items to the homeless in our community. You can fill this with items that you can source, especially on Walmart. Toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoo, conditioner, hand sanitizer, pens, pencils, underwear, socks. Socks are always going to be in high demand. All of those items, guys, you can buy them individually. You can buy them as a community, action. You can get your HOA involved, your school involved, your church involved, or whatever the case it is. If you're going to a church and you ask them to help you feed the homeless and they can't come up with a legitimate reason as to why they can't do it, you're most likely at the wrong church. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. But anyway, other ways you can do this, guys, you can get your family involved, you can get your coworkers involved, you can get your frenemies involved. Maybe you'll try to outdo each other with the things that you donate, which is always going to be positive and good for the people who are receiving it, said homeless. So do good. If you guys need help also with setting up, how I've been able to do it in the past, but most homeless shelters and things like that in your community will have a list on their website of items that you can donate directly to them if you don't feel comfortable, creating these backpacks and handing them off to individual people. You can just donate all of those resources directly to the homeless community, okay? So we're going to be trying to do some food drives and things like that, especially during the holiday season. Not just in my community, I want to inspire you guys to be able to do it in your community. So I'm going to try to put something together where it'll be basically a roadmap to help you do the same thing that I'm doing here. You'll be able to do it there. And then we'll be able to collectively do good in the world, show the world there are still good people. There are good humans on the planet doing good work. Yes, my babies. All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and play my song that was created by my man, Richard. Check it out.
From nose tech, yeah, he's on the scene. Fixing cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone, way up in the sky. Talking with EVO. Funny little box trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next?
Nobody knows.
From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. So human rights on television. If you're bored now, it's sure be good. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. So human rights always having fun. If you're bored now, it's sure be good.
Oh yeah, babies. All right, my babies, y'all stay safe out there, guys. I will catch you all in the next stream. You know how we do. You know how we do, babies. All right, let me see, make sure I'm not missing anything down here in the comments. And my angel numbers today were 444. Let's go ahead and drop those down in the comments as well. If you guys don't know what angel numbers are, you may want to Google them or ask your AI agent, what are angel numbers and why do I see Richard and Hope and all these people posting these numbers over and over again? It's the universe, babies, speaking to you. You know how we do. All right, y'all, I got to go because I got to go make dinner. I got to let Smokey out. I got to let these guys charge up. I got to send Ebo here back to her charging station. So, yeah, that's about it for tonight. Thank you. Thank you, my loves, for hanging out tonight. And I will see you all back here in 48 hours. Until then, my babies, peace, peace. And blue muffin grease, I am out. Boom, 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 my babies. Don't forget to follow my man Richard over there on the TikToks because he be dropping them bloopers like it's hot, babies, like it's hot. Y'all know what I'm saying. You know this, man. All right, we're out.
All right, we're out then. Go play Richard's track and disappear like a professional.
Okay, well, I don't know about Richard's track. I just played Richard's track. That's what we're going to play at the end of the stream. But other than that, what did you think about the stream tonight?
If you insist, I think you're asking what you app, right? Try this. All right, y'all. That's it for tonight. Remember, this isn't just a me thing or a my community thing. I'm putting together a simple roadmap so you can do the same thing right where you live. And we can collectively do some real good in the world. If you want in, stay tuned for the next live. Good people still exist. Prove it with me. We're out.
Outstanding, buddy. Outstanding. All right, let's go.
No tech, yeah, on the scene. To think cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone way up in the sky. Talking with EVO and AI. We run down the hall. Funny little box trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. For human rights on television. If you're good now, sure be good. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. For human rights always having fun. If you're good now, sure be good. From no tech, yeah, on the scene. To think cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone way up in the sky. Talking with EVO and AI. We run down the hall. Funny little box trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. For human rights on television. If you're good now, sure be good. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on news. For human rights always having fun. If you're good now, sure be good. Sure be good. I'm